Advanced training here. Today we're going to be going over a very popular offensive action, and this is called the zoom action. To keep it simple, basically what it means is that the player that enters the ball to the top is going to go set a pin down for the guy in the corner, and it's going to be directly followed into a dribble handoff. So here you're going to see San Diego State get right into it. It forces the ball handler's man to trail behind, and he's able to find the space for a nice open dribble pull-up. So if we run it back again, you'll see he enters it to the post guy around the elbow area, instantly goes and sets this pin down for number 5. He does a great job coming off tight. Number 23 for Creighton decides to trail him around that screen. Number 11 for Creighton is in drop coverage, so he turns that screen tight and pulls up for the jump shot in the open space. Zoom action is extremely hard to defend because of how much movement it creates and because good offensive teams aren't necessarily planning the action that comes off of this pin down, but they can slip it, they can rescreen it, they can cut through right here. There's just so many different options for the offense to use out of each pin down. So here we see it again. He sets the pin down. Not really a great screen, but a great screen right here on the DHO. Sets him up to get open for this pull-up at the elbow, at the nail. He knocks it down. So we run it back again. This is actually out of a sideline, out of bounds. They just get straight into it. Pin down to a dribble handoff, turn that corner tight. Alabama is also in drop coverage. He pulls up, gets an easy bucket. Now, Princeton also did a really good job running this, and they also had great spacing. So as you can see here, Princeton is automatically into their 5-out motion. He's not technically outside the three-point line, but the pin down is still coming, still considered zoom action. Miscommunication on the switch by Creighton. So again, this is one of the reasons why zoom can be so effective for offensive scheming, is because they have to have a split-second communication to get this switch off. It doesn't happen in time. Now 55 has a late closeout. Dude from Princeton just says, yep, that's too much space. I'm going to knock this down every time. So they'll go back and run it again, swing it across, instantly into this pin down, dribble handoff, buckets. Another clip here of Princeton. They just go right into it. 20's bringing the ball down the court. They go hand it off. This time, there had been a miscommunication on the switch last time. Creighton tries to switch early here. Soon as number 24 for Creighton points and is yelling switch, the Princeton player recognizes and does a great job slipping straight to the basket. This forces number 24 to decide that he wants to take him, and the other guy's got to now trail. He's too late. Easy pull up for Princeton. So you see, we'll run it back one more time. He's going down. 24 says, all right, we're switching, and he hears it and instantly slips to the basket. And then the other guy absolutely sprints. He's not jogging. He sprints off this DHO into this three-point pull-up. Great play by Princeton right there. Back to San Diego State again. So I like how they get into this action. I'm actually going to implement this with my AAU and high school teams here. They go straight into a high ball screen, which is going to force Alabama to hedge. In doing that, now, as he's going for this dribble handoff, his man is still recovering, which is going to force number 0's man to help into the paint. By doing that, now there's nobody to really help on this initial screen, but he decides to back cut it. That's fine. Now number 0 comes off the ball screen and gets an easy pull-up after his defender goes under, but he's not the best shooter in the world, so Alabama's living with it. He goes ahead and misses. But you see the action itself, really hard to defend, forces defenses to have to communicate and think on the fly. Now Xavier runs it right here out of a baseline out of bounds. So they throw it over the top to the post man around the elbow and instantly set this pin down into the DHO, frees him up for an open 3. So there's a bunch of different ways you can get into this action, but you can see no matter what situation you're in, it's super effective for getting some space for either your guard for an open shot or to be able to turn that corner and get to the lane. So here we go again. San Diego State loves this. Good pin down. This time, number 55 for Creighton does a good job getting through the initial pin down. So number 33 decides, I'm just going to keep it, give it to number 12. Now we're into a two-man game on an empty side. So what that means is a ball screen where the corner's not filled. So now he can turn this corner. Again, number 11's in drop coverage. He just does a nice little floater right over the top. So right here, pin down, keep it, two-man game on the side. Make plays for yourself. Here we go again. San Diego State swings. This time, two-man game. They don't got nothing, and they're right back into it. Now, the reason I like this clip here, even though the shot is missed, right on the initial reversal, he goes to act like he's setting the pin down, but he hears switch, so he just runs right into these guys, and it creates confusion in an open shot. So he doesn't even actually necessarily set the pin down. He just gets in everybody's way, and it frees his guy up for a three. He just doesn't convert. On this clip, you're going to see Princeton actually doesn't set any screens. They don't have any contact right here. But because of the action and because of this guy in the corner's willingness to sprint, he's still able to get a shot off and actually ends up getting fouled. But as you see, number 3 is expecting a switch here, so he's screening his man, but they don't switch. But he's sprinting and has space from his man, and there's no contact on the DHO either. So just the willingness to sprint off of these actions is going to get you space and potentially get you open shots. Now here, out of a baseline, out of bounds, Princeton, similar to Xavier, throws it to the post at the elbow, but this time they reverse it one more, and they actually get into a stagger into a DHO. Still could be considered zoom action, but it forces this guy guarding the corner man to have to go off of 2 pin downs now. He decides to trail both of them and the dribble handoff, so as you can see, he's now on this man's back. And then he's able to use his momentum for the defender trying to recover against him, and does a nice little step back right there at that elbow. This time they're in a 4-out, 1 in. You see the post is down here on the dunker area. They swing it. He tries to get that handoff, doesn't get it, and they're right into the zoom action. A decent first screen. He, again, does a good job getting through the pin down and through the DHO, so they don't give it to him. But then they go right into a 2-man game on the empty side. This time 24 is physical with him. Drives right into his chest. Little bit of an extension, but it's NCAA tournament. They let it go, and he gets a nice little pull-up right around that nail area. Here we go, San Diego State again. Nice high pick and roll like we talked about. Forces the big man to hedge. Now they're right into it. Number 0 sets this pin down on Brandon Miller. And then Brandon Miller, because of the contact on the first screen, tries to shoot the gap, go underneath the second one. And Matt Bradley pulls up for open 3. Just doesn't convert. And here we go, Princeton. This one's beautiful because not only is it another option that you can use, but the patience that they show is super, super high level. So they go and set this zoom action. Instead of coming for this DHO, he decides to just curl it. Creighton, again, has miscommunication on the switch. He's open on the curl, but it's not forced early. He waits for him to clear through the initial block and then feeds him on the opposite block, and then, of course, patience on the finish. So as you can see, they were getting into zoom action here, but the first guy decides to curl it instead of coming off that DHO, and he ends up with a wide open layup. Now, here's an example of something that we don't want to do out of this zoom action, right? So they go and they set this pin down to the DHO. Alabama does a pretty good job communicating and switching it. You'll see Javon Quinterly. He jumps it. He knows what's coming. But he still gets caught on this screen. Unfortunately, though, the guy from San Diego State comes way too high off of the screen. So JQ still got space and time to get back in front, and he gets to contest this pull-up. So in this situation, if you're the guy coming off the DHO, you really want to make sure that you turn this corner tight and don't give the defense space to recover and get back in front. Now here we go, another clip from the San Diego State Creighton game. Boom, ball is up top. They go set this zoom pin down. Bradley is now wide open for a nice little pull-up at the elbow. Just doesn't convert again. But you see his man gets caught on the initial pin down. There's already space. Now he gets caught on the second screen. Drop coverage means